Hey there, and welcome to step number one. So in this video, we're going to talk about choosing a product to sell for your direct-to-consumer e-commerce business. So here's what we're going to cover. First, why choosing the right product is so important in this business model. Second, the 4 criteria for the perfect direct-to-consumer product. Third, where to get great ideas for products you can sell. And fourth, how to evaluate the current products you sell if you sell on Amazon right now and you want to transition to this business and want to scale on Shopify. So we'll talk all about how to sort of evaluate those and see if you need to get a new product or if one of the ones you already have is going to work. So first off, why choosing the right product is so important for this business model. You know, on Amazon, if somebody goes and searches for electric toothbrush, they see a bunch of options there. A lot of people are selling. Somebody's already searched for that specific keyword. That's the mindset they're in. They're just looking for a solution that fits that specific need at that specific time. And on Amazon, it ends up all kind of being about your reviews and your price. If you can get a ton of reviews and have a reasonable price, people will buy your product. That's kind of how people are competing on there. On this model with direct to consumer, much of the ads you're going to be running are going to be interruption-based marketing. Somebody's sitting there scrolling through Facebook, through Instagram, through another channel, and then all of a sudden you're interrupting them with an ad that they didn't expect to see. That's a totally different mindset than somebody looking for a specific product on a big platform where they expect to find lots of options for that. So first thing to know, and the reason why choosing the right product is so important, is you are interrupting people with something about your product. So it's got to grab their attention. And you want to be able to target a lot of people, because these days, the most effective way to target on most of these social media platforms where all the people are and where the best place is to get traffic and customers from, the best way to target is just to let the platform do their thing. You almost give them like target anybody you want, say within the country, and then they'll go out there and they'll find the right people. With that said, you want to be able to have the biggest reach possible with your product so you have the best chances of success. So if you're targeting, some specific automotive product that's only relevant to, a Mercedes from 2 years ago, then the platforms are going to have a heck of a hard time going out there and trying to find those people. You want a product that can appeal to a lot of people. Third, you need a quick and compelling story. Once again, you're interrupting people, so you want to be able to quickly be able to tell them why they should pay attention and consider buying your product. And you also need the right profit margins. Other business models may be able to work fine on 20% profit, even 50% profit. In this business model, you want a higher profit margin so you can scale the business quickly, so you can run discounts for multiple units and all kinds of different reasons. So here's the 4 criteria to choose the best direct-to-consumer product to sell. First, you want the biggest market possible, yet you want one that you can start with a specific niche. We'll talk about that in a second. Second, you want proven demand. You're not out there trying to invent something new that nobody's ever heard of. You want something that people are already buying. You just have a better option with a better story. Third, you want low-cost differentiation potential. You can't sell the same product as everyone else and expect to be able to sell well. You need to have something different about it that people will actually care about. Fourth, you want a product you can sell for 4 times the cost or better. Now I'm going to explain each one of these things. So criteria number 1, you want the biggest market possible, yet one in which you could start with a specific niche. So I'll give you an example. Let's talk about Black Rifle Coffee Company. This company went public and valued at about $1 billion at the time. And so they were selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of this coffee per year. In my opinion, from what I know, the coffee isn't really all that special. What is special is their message behind the brand, the way they've done the branding, the way they've done their ads and their videos, who they support with their business, the specific market they go after. All of that is what has allowed them to take a pretty generic product, coffee, and scale into the hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. So this is a massive market, coffee, because a lot of people drink it, yet they're started with a very specific niche. They said, a lot of these coffee brands out there, they're talking about tasting notes and the country of origin and fairly traded and all that stuff. They're like, forget all that. We're going to put some rifles on our bags. We're going to make them black. We're going to have all the marketing be supporting, this sort of demographic. and it's worked out extremely well for them. Because now if you're somebody in that demographic and you're like, okay, I'm looking to buy a bag of coffee, why the heck would you go and buy generic one? There's this one that speaks directly to you. So big market, but started with a specific niche. Snow teeth whitening is another one. So teeth whitening, everyone has teeth. Maybe not everyone cares about teeth whitening. Everyone at least brushes their teeth. Massive market, and they went after a specific niche. They started with influencers and using social media. They did a lot of really cool stuff with influencers. So they were kind of going after that audience of people who constantly posting on social media, following all these influencers, really caring about how white their teeth are. So they went after that specific niche in this massive market. It's a great strategy. And so here are just some examples of some big markets with lots of niches. You'll be able to find thousands of products you could possibly sell in each one of these, because these are the big ones. Beauty, there's so many skincare brands out there for a reason, because this category has blown up over the last couple of decades. So beauty is a big category. I think the teeth whitening kind of fits in there. So any skin cream, skincare products, shampoos, anything that makes you look better fits into this category. Tons of opportunities. Health is a big one. Supplements, very important. Maybe you could argue some healthy foods, anything that helps you, be healthier is another huge market out there that you can find tons of direct-to-consumer opportunities in. Pets is a big one, especially after the pandemic. Everybody and their mom bought one or two more dogs, and so this is a massive category that people spend lots of money in. Food is another big one, and it's becoming bigger and bigger because people are looking for more and more niche kind of products. For example, there's a brand called Primal Kitchen that I'll reference later, and they sold for, I believe, $200 million, mostly in cash from what I remember. And they basically had super healthy dressings is kind of their core business. For example, like we buy it all the time. We buy their barbecue sauce, we buy some of their like ranch dressing because it's got super clean ingredients, but still tastes really good. And so that was kind of their market. And they ended up selling for about a couple $100 million in the food category. So especially if you can go like healthy foods, that's a huge category. So first criteria, big market, but you can go after a small niche. Second criteria, proven demand. You don't want to go out there and invent something. You want to be in a situation where you're basically selling water to people in a desert. So these people are already hungry for this kind of product or thirsty for this product, you could say, and you're saying, hey, you're already buying this thing or looking to buy this thing. I've got a better version or one that appeals more to you for this specific reason. So you want a product that has proven demand. So fortunately for us selling physical products and direct to consumer, super easy to validate demand using Amazon, because Amazon sells basically everything under the sun. It may not sell the exact product you're looking at, but it'll sell something similar so you can get an idea if this thing actually sells well. Because if you go and follow this process and you're like, you know what, I've got a great idea. I'm really into like garden gnomes or something. So I think what's going to crush it is socks with garden gnomes on them. And you go to Amazon, you follow this process, you realize nobody on the planet wants to buy those things. So you'd have two customers. It'd probably be like you and your mom or something. And so that's not going to be a great product to go into. You want to validate that there's existing demand there. So you want to feel free to come up with ideas as you go along. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But then once you have those ideas, you want to validate that there is existing demand there. So the best way I think to do it is go to Amazon. I just typed in, for example, organic dog treats. It just popped in my head. So I went to Amazon. I typed in organic dog treats. Then what you want to do is when you start scrolling down on the page, skip all the sponsored ones. The reason we're skipping the sponsored ones is because you can basically just pay to be up there. It doesn't really tell you anything about how well those products are selling. So skip the sponsored ones, which are just advertising slots basically, and then scroll down below those and then check out the first ones that are non-sponsored products. And then what you want to do is open up 3 or 4 of these and start scrolling down to the middle of the page. You'll see a section that looks like this that says product details. And then under best sellers rank or next to best sellers rank, it has a major category there like pet supplies or grocery or beauty. And so in this case, this one's number 856 in pet supplies. That's top 1,000 in this massive category. Because on Amazon, they're ranked from 1 to like hundreds of thousands. And so the lower the better, because it means it's the better selling product in that category. And so what you want to do to validate demand is type in something related to what you want to sell. For example, I typed in, organic dog treats. And so you're looking to see if your idea, if people are already selling it, and then you open those top ranked products and see how well they're selling. Under this best sellers rank, the criteria you're looking for is you want at least two, I would say. You may have to open up 5 or 6 different listings, but you want at least two that are under 10,000 in that top category. That's a good rule of thumb that says, okay, there's enough people buying this thing to make it worth your time. If you find that there's like one that's like, ranked number 1,000 like this, and then you find that all the rest are, 20,000, 30,000, that kind of thing, then it's probably not going to be worth doing. However, if you find a bunch that are, like this, 856, maybe you find some that are top 100, 200, 300, that's a good sign there's a lot of people buying this kind of product. Criteria number 3 is you want low cost differentiation potential. If you're the 8 millionth person out there selling a basic yoga mat or fitness mat like this, and you go and try to put that ad in front of somebody on a social media platform that's just scrolling, not really looking for your product, what are you going to tell them to make them want to buy that thing? There's not much you can say. You're saying, hey, this one is the exact same thing you can buy in 52 other places and probably a little more expensive. You should come buy it from me. Like, there's no reason why somebody would want to do that. You have to make something different about the product that's going to make it stand out. Black Rifle, perfect example. So one of the best ways you could do this is target a specific niche. For example, with a yoga mat, for the coffee, for example, they targeted that demographic of like, I like guns, I like America, I support the military. That's the kind of market that they're going after, hunting, fishing, that kind of thing. On the yoga mat side, maybe you feel like all the yoga mats, you could differentiate by targeting one that's specifically for men. Maybe it's made of camo, maybe it's like a thicker material, and it's okay to like stereotype in this case. I mean, you're out there trying to build a brand and see what's actually going to stick. And so if you can go after a very specific audience with that product, then maybe that'll stand out. So the first way to differentiate, fairly low cost, is just to take a generic product and target it at a specific audience. If you feel like everyone in that market is not really differentiating between men and women, for example, maybe you say, okay, I'm gonna stand up, I'm gonna make this only for men or make it only for women. Or if you take a product, maybe you target only a specific age group. That's another way to do it. So any way you can target a specific audience. I've given the example before, but I've done jiu-jitsu for a while and was doing it pretty actively a while back. And, my knees started to hurt and that kind of thing. So I went and started looking for like a joint supplement. And I found one that was by this Navy SEAL guy that's super popular online, Jocko Willink, and he created one. He does a bunch of jiu-jitsu and he has his joint supplement. So I'm like, okay, this is like the only joint supplement that's targeted at a guy who does a bunch of jiu-jitsu like I'm doing. And so this is going to be a great product for me. So it was like the only supplement I could find. There's a joint supplement that's specifically for jiu-jitsu. So if you can come up with that kind of marketing, taking a big market product, but targeting a specific niche, that's a great way that doesn't cost a lot of money to get started. Also, you can just change the packaging. I mean, boxed water, despite what they say, is probably no different than all the other hundreds of different waters, but they put it in this cardboard box and made the argument that it's more environmentally friendly, but it definitely stands out. And there's lots of different examples like that. There's like glass peanut butter jars and different products that come in different kinds of packaging. So if you can take an existing product and just put it in different, more attractive packaging, that's another way where you can differentiate without spending a lot of money. Quip is a perfect example. They've sold tons and tons and tons of these electric toothbrushes. They're probably not that much different or better than anybody else, but what they have done is they made the packaging so much better. The product design is probably also a little bit better, but the packaging is so much better, so much more unique than your typical like plastic thing that doesn't look very high quality from the store. And so if you can take and dramatically improve the packaging, that's another way on a low cost you can differentiate an existing product. So here are 5 inexpensive ways to differentiate any product on the planet where all of a sudden you've taken an existing product that's proven to sell well, has a massive market, and now you've carved out your way to pick up early and fast traction when building your direct-to-consumer business. First, target a specific market like we talked about. Second, put it in unique packaging, like the boxed water example. Third, use what I call the EST strategy or EST strategy. If you can make the product extreme in one direction, that's another way to stand out. The biggest, the smallest, the lightest, the heaviest, the thickest, the thinnest, the fastest, the brightest, the healthiest, and even the unhealthiest. There's some restaurants, I know some in Austin, that have basically said, we're going to have, donuts that are wrapped in bacon with, extra candy on top and stuff. They're making it the unhealthiest thing possible, but it stands out because otherwise you're the, 100th donut store selling all the same stuff. Like, why is somebody going to go shop for you other than pure convenience, which isn't a great differentiator? So if you can dramatically emphasize one aspect of the product, that's another way where you can really stand out with a product that can otherwise be seen as fairly generic. Upgrade the branding and packaging, like the Quip example. Snow Teeth Whitening is also an example. Their packaging is amazing. And so they've really taken that to a high level, try to create like Apple style packaging. So that's another example where you can differentiate a product that's otherwise fairly similar. Because the goal here is not to go out there and like custom manufacture something that's going to take 6 months or a year to get live. You want to be able to take a product and start picking up traction way sooner than that. Fifth, this is a big one. Make it as environmentally friendly as possible. Allbirds, for example, the shoes comes to mind. That's a little more difficult because it's more of a custom kind of product, but they basically have tried to make it like as environmentally friendly as possible, or at least that's what their marketing is. So if you can take that angle with your product, from the packaging, from the causes that you support, maybe you donate a portion of profits to some company or some organization that helps the environment. That's another good angle that's probably going to be around for a long time. And so that's the 5 different ways you can differentiate basically any product out there. So criteria number 4, you can sell it for 4 times the cost or better. So if the cost is, say, $5 each, that means you must be able to sell it for $20 or more. Now, the $5 I'm talking about basically includes the product, the packaging, and the shipment from the manufacturer to wherever your fulfillment center is. And I'll talk more about fulfillment in the next step in the next video. But basically, I'm not talking about the shipping cost to an individual customer. I'm talking about to get finished units ready to ship to individual customers. That's the $5 I'm talking about. Now, why does this matter? You need enough margin to be able to run ads. If you're operating on like 10% margin, then you're never going to convert high enough to make that profitable. So you need a high enough margin to be able to profitably run ads. You also need enough margin to be able to offer quantity discounts. It's proven to work that almost no matter what product you sell, you might as well sell 3 of them at a discount and maybe 6 of them at an even bigger discount. And if you're on razor thin margins, that's not going to work there. And you still want money left to produce cash flow for you. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to accomplish here, is to build a nice, consistent, cash-producing business. And I believe there's no better way to do it than this direct-to-consumer business model. And so you've got to have high enough profits for that all to make sense. The good thing is doing this research costs you nothing. It takes some time, but if you find some products you want to sell, and I'll tell you in the next video how to find suppliers, but if you find products you want to sell and you're like, okay, these margins aren't as good, they aren't the 4x markup that I'm looking for, keep looking. You haven't had to pay anything. It's better to find that information out in advance and just choose a different product so that the time comes to do the marketing, you're in a great position to crush it. So the 4 criteria to choose the best direct-to-consumer product: first, biggest market possible, yet you can start with a specific niche. Second, there's proven demand. Third, low-cost differentiation potential. Fourth, you can sell it for 4 times the cost or better. So where are you going to get some of these great ideas for the products you can sell? First place to go, I think, is look at the stuff you already buy. Look around your home, look around your home office, look around everywhere else in your house, or maybe if you go to an office, in your car. Look at all the stuff you already buy. Look at your hobbies. Another good way is literally log into your Amazon account and look at your past order history. What do you keep buying again and again and again? Think about all that stuff, and then think about the things that you think could be better. Like, what's not a 10 out of 10 in terms of like how much you love the product? Is there something that's like you keep buying, but you're like only moderately happy with it and you wish it could be way better? Maybe that's a good place to start. Look at all the stuff you're already buying and spending money on, because in my experience, it's way more fun to be in a business where you sell a product you actually use. Sure, I know people and I've taught people how to go out there and sell products that they know nothing about, make millions of dollars, everything's good, they like the money, and then they're off doing something else. In my experience, it's way better that you're a user for your product. You're testing it out. You're using it. For example, like the coffee business, I drink it every morning and afternoon usually too. And so I'm a good user of the product, tester of the product. I get to try everything out that we sell. And so that's a much more fun position to be in because I'm sharing. My mom and my dad are both on subscription with our company, and we send it out as gifts. And so it just makes running the business a lot more fun. And also, you probably know a lot more about it than just the average person who's never bought that kind of product before. Second, look at Amazon. If you Google Amazon bestsellers and click that link there, you'll see Amazon gives you basically a list of the top selling products in every category. Start digging around some categories you're interested in. For example, I clicked on pet supplies, and you start seeing the products that are selling the best. And so if you start looking at those, reading through reviews, find out what people like, don't like, see if there's anything there that you've bought yourself, that's another great source to find potential product ideas. Then you can also just go to Kickstarter. So Kickstarter, a lot of new kind of innovative products. You can see what's taking off and see what people are literally paying money in advance to hopefully get in the future. So I did that, and I looked at this design category, which is kind of the more physical products. And as you can see on the right, there's like basically an adjustable hourglass out of all things. So if you see something there that you like or interested in or see that's really taken off, that's another potential product idea for you. There's also a website out there that if you go to trends.stackline.com, like I have at the bottom of this slide, and you'll see that it basically, as it says here, ranks the most popular consumer brands and topics based on e-commerce search volumes across the largest retail sites, mobile apps, and search engines. Couldn't get more direct than that. So if you scroll down, you can kind of play around with the categories. But here's popular categories: women's dresses and suiting, cases and screen protectors, hair care, kind of going back to the beauty, video games, event, gift, and party supplies. You can dig around through there and also use that for product ideas because this is validating that there's demand there. And just kind of follow that thread until you come up with, say, 10 to 15 different ideas. Then you're ready to kind of move on to the next step of finding out if you can find suppliers for them. So first, look at what you buy because you ideally want to sell a product you're going to use yourself. Second, look at the Amazon Top 100, Kickstarter, and Stackline for other ideas. Create a list of at least 10 different potential product ideas and make it stuff you're excited about. That's going to make this way more fun. And then validate the demand on Amazon. So rather than being like, oh yeah, I'm going to sell this super niche product, you want to find out if anybody's actually buying something similar because that's going to make your life way easier. So create this list of 10 ideas, jump over to Amazon, do the little search, see if there's at least 2 that have like a less than 10,000 bestsellers rank. Now you know these things have existing demand. So now if you already sell on Amazon and you want to scale on Shopify, how do you know if the products you have are going to work? So remember, on Amazon, people are searching for keywords, which is very different than people just scrolling through their newsfeed. So first you have to ask yourself, does it appeal to a large market? Second, can you target a specific niche within that larger market like we talked about in a few examples? Third, is it differentiated enough for you to tell a good story? I find a lot of Amazon sellers, they're just selling a product that's basically the same as everyone else. That's probably not going to work unless you're really good at marketing with this approach. But if you can take one of those products and really change something and make something extreme or really improve the packaging so it stands out or make it different, things that don't necessarily cost a lot of money or time, then that could possibly work. And can you sell it for at least 4 times the cost? If not, it's probably not worth doing. So look at your products if you sell on Amazon, evaluate it based on these criteria. If you can find one or more that fits these, great, use that. If you can't, you may need to find a different product that can still be within the same niche you already sell in because you already have suppliers, the brand and everything. You just need a slightly different product that fits this model a little bit better. So a big question I know people are going to wonder, you might be wondering yourself, is do you have to sell a consumable product? My answer is no. Sure, it can help. If you could sell a product that people naturally run out of, diet supplement, beauty creams, food products, all that kind of stuff, great. But it's not completely necessary. So this is, for example, massive subscription company Stitch Fix. They're literally sending you clothes every month. Sure, they kind of wear out and run out, but they're not what we typically think of as a consumable product. So they're doing very well with that model. Casper mattress. That mattress may take 10 or 15 years to run out, and so they're an example that's absolutely crushing it direct to consumer, and that's how they were built. So not a consumable product. Also, Movement watches. This is another brand that's done extremely well direct to consumer, primarily selling on their own website. They sell like these kind of cool looking, nice design watches for around a couple $100 each, I think. Not really a consumable product. The watch is probably going to last a long time. So you don't have to sell a consumable product to make this business work. So don't let that hold you back. If you can make it work with a consumable product, great, but you don't have to sell one to make direct to consumer work. So up next, in the next video lesson, we're going to talk about how to find a supplier and how to choose the perfect selling price for direct-to-consumer success. I'll see you in the next video.